G'day, I'm Keith.
Hi, I'm Joe.
This is J&K's Travel Adventures. Welcome back. If you checked out our first episode, you would have seen our epic journey from Sydney to Vancouver via Hong Kong. So this is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, check it out. I'm going to put a link at the end right there. Hopefully I can line out to where my finger's pointing, but it could be up there or down there. But anyway, check it out. I'm going to try and put a link in there. I'm still trying to work out all this YouTube stuff, but hopefully there'll be a little picture there with the link. But if you have already seen part 1, this is part 2 from Vancouver, 2.5 days in Vancouver.
Absolutely. One of the highlights of the whole trip.
There were lots of highlights, but yes.
There were lots of highlights.
It was a highlight. All right, so we landed in Vancouver after over 30 hours of travelling. We flew from Sydney for nearly 10 hours to Hong Kong, had a 10-hour layover in Hong Kong, and about 11, 12 hours to Vancouver. So we got to Vancouver about 1 p.m, but we left Hong Kong at 3 p.m. the same day. So
we kind of lost a day.
No, the day never ended.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the day never
ended.
Yeah, it was never, because we actually went back in time. Because we left at 3 p.m, flew for 11 hours and landed at 1 p.m. the same day, so 2 hours before we left.
So it's kind of like the real version of time travelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we mentioned in our last episode, we got off the plane after got through customs, that probably took half an hour or so. Got on the Sky train, which is just the normal train. It doesn't go in the sky, they just call it the Sky train because it's not the underground train.
It's above ground.
Yeah, and went into the port, the waterfront station, which is kind of where we based most of our journeys throughout over the next 2.5 days. It was about a kilometre from our hotel, so it was the closest station to our hotel, and it's also the cruise terminal and the hub of where all the ferries and stuff are in Vancouver.
Yes. Yep. It was actually really good to be back on ground, to be honest, because it was a long trip, but it was nice to be in Vancouver. We so look forward to this trip.
Yeah. So we hopped off the waterfront station and we found a brewery, the Steamworks Brewing Company, which is just right there. As soon as you walk up from the station, there's the brewery. It's technically in what they call Gastown, I think, which is kind of one of the older areas of Vancouver, which we visited later on. But yeah, the brewery was kind of on the corner there, I guess, at the start of Gastown.
I think we told this story a few times, but we had a choice of going to a cafe or the brewery when we got into town, and we looked at each other and went, no, we're going to the brewery. And we're very glad we did, because Steamworks was amazing.
Yes, it was. It was definitely a highlight, one of our favourite. I think it was our favourite, really, of all the ones we went to.
Oh, I think so. I think it was our favourite brewery, and look, just the clientele and the staff were amazing. It was a very enjoyable place to visit.
So we had our luggage and everything, all our luggage, and
our big rolly suitcases.
All set to walk up to our hotel, and we thought, a brewery there. So they let us put our bags in the corner while we sat at the bar having a beer, and then we saw the menu and there was poutine.
So a very first experience of poutine.
Yeah, poutine. So poutine it's like so simple but so good. It's just chips, gravy and cheese curd.
And we've tried to recreate that at home, but it's not quite the same.
You can't get cheese curd in Australia, and which is really funny because cheese curd is basically lazy cheese because you've kind of done half of the cheese making process and couldn't be bothered doing the rest. So that's all. It's like you've separated the curds in a way, and then it's like, oh, that will do. I'm not going to squash that into a cheese-shaped thing. I'm just going to leave it as it is.
I think the closest we can kind of come to cheese curds here is maybe mozzarella balls or yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
I don't think there's anything else that is equivalent.
We might have to find a cheese factory and say, hey, can you just...
Give us some cheese curds.
Yeah, just not finish your cheese off, just give us the curds and...
But that poutine experience, it was amazing. It was
first poutine, yeah.
Yes, and it was really, really good.
And the beers were quite good there. Just going through we've got some photos on our laptop just to jog our memory here. These beer glasses, I got one to bring home. And this is the best beer glass.
Didn't you get a t-shirt as well?
Yeah, but we're talking about the beer glass. Yeah. This is the best beer glass. It's got like, especially if you've got like a big nose like me, you know. But it also fits like one of those 440 ml cans of Guinness fit perfectly in that. So
yep, the big
and
cans.
we kind of nursed this home through like 6 flights and the carry-on baggage. The very last flight I had a panic because I thought I might have broken it, but it made it home. So there, yep. So the Steamworks Brewery glass.
His favourite beer glass.
It is, yeah. Yep. So once we had a couple of beers, we made our way to our hotel and we stayed at, where did we stay? So we stayed at the Century Plaza Hotel, which was about a kilometre up the road from the station and from the brewery.
Yes, it was a very nice hotel.
Yeah. There's a little IGA supermarket on the corner too, which is funny because IGA, the logo is pretty much exactly the same as IGA's in Australia.
Yes, it was actually quite a good little supermarket.
Yeah, we got a couple of little things, some milk, some eggs, a few things.
Yeah.
It's what I guess struck us straight away was everything's in dual language. So you got French and English.
Yes, so reading the labels on products, you needed to have it around the right way.
Yeah. And so we got a few things and then we headed to our hotel. Quite a nice hotel. Headed upstairs and then it was like we were like so tired and jet lagged and kind of like went to bed.
People have said things about jet lag before and I've never really understood what they meant by jet lag. This was my first experience of jet lag and now I completely understand where they're coming from.
What really confused us too was the late sunsets.
Yes, because the days were quite long.
So long, it being summer in the northern hemisphere and being so like far north, the days were very long, like 10 p.m, 9:30, 10 p.m. sunsets.
Yes, so you didn't really know which way was up, did you? Because your body thought it was bedtime, but it was still daylight.
And it was like and after the day that went forever, after leaving Sydney at 9:30 p.m. the day before and flying 10 hours in Hong Kong, 11 hours to Vancouver.
And pretty well no sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were very confused, very jet lagged. And so we went to sleep, but I woke up I think it was 2:30 in the morning.
I slept for 12 hours straight.
And I just couldn't get back to sleep. I actually woke up and I wanted Vegemite on toast. I don't think I've ever wanted Vegemite on toast as bad as I did that morning.
Because you couldn't have it, that's why.
It's like, obviously there's nowhere I couldn't just order room service in Canada and ask for Vegemite on toast. But I couldn't get back to sleep, so I headed down to the gym, which was right in the basement. Quite a good gym in that hotel, like a lot of old school stuff, but it had like a squat rack, which you don't normally find in a hotel gym. They've normally got, a couple of those multi-station cable machines, but this had some quite like old school kind of decent weights.
Were they in pounds in the...
I think they were. Most of them were in pounds.
It's interesting in Canada, isn't it? Because there's like a combination of pounds and kilograms.
I think they're hedging their bets with the metric system there. So, yeah, it was a bit confusing to work out. I think some of the weights were in pounds and some were in kilos. But I actually got a pretty good workout. Come back upstairs and found myself locked out of the room.
The lock broke.
Yeah, and I was
on the door.
Trying to ring Joe. An answer.
I didn't hear the phone, and Keith could hear my phone ringing from outside, but it actually wasn't my phone, it was my iPad, which was across the other side of the room. But anyway, the whole point is I didn't actually hear anything ring, and he had to get security to help him get into the room.
Yeah.
Which was a great start to the first day. In the hotel.
So then, the good thing about the hotel, we had breakfast provided all 3 days. So
yes.
We had some really good breakfasts there. So, and that it's good when you have breakfast provided because you don't have to worry about, what you're going to do at the start of the day to eat.
And they know how to cook eggs.
Yeah.
They did really good eggs.
Yep, so there's a few pictures of some of the breakfasts we had over the next 3 days.
Yes.
So then we went for a walk after brekkie, and we went back down, we went for a bit of a walk around the area where we noticed that night there were a lot of sirens, and we realised why, because we were a couple of 100 metres up the road from the ambulance station.
Which we weren't aware of when you booked the hotel.
Yeah. So that we had sirens all night.
We just thought it was like a city thing.
Well, I guess it was, yeah, but we were pretty close to the ambulance station. So we went for a walk around and we walked back down to the waterfront. And we saw this cruise ship, Ovation of the Seas, which is actually the very first cruise we went on about 3-4 years ago.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we cruised around New Zealand on this ship. That was our first cruise.
It was.
So it was good to see that in Vancouver.
It was. Ovation of the Seas, that brings back a lot of memories.
So we went bit of a walk around and we found actually we went through Gastown, and Gastown, it's interesting. It's an older part of Vancouver and it's a little bit touristy. There's lots of shops there, but
a lot of souvenir shops,
and most of the shops are selling the same souvenirs. So you go into the first souvenir shop, then you go to the next one, it's got pretty much the same souvenirs. And
I might sound really gullible here, but I was wondering why there were so many people crowding on the pavement in Gastown, and then I realised they were crowding around the clock because the clock.
The steam clock.
The steam clock goes off every hour, and I didn't realise that's why everyone was standing there. They were waiting for the steam clock to go off and play its tune.
Yeah, to take pictures and stuff.
Yes.
And look, Gastown, we saw, before we went to Canada, we saw a bit of, other videos and stuff. You've got to see Gastown, it's so great. And it was kind of like a, meh, it's just
It was okay. Like, I'd go back there again. It wasn't like there was anything super special about it. I did enjoy the clock, the sound of the clock.
And then we walked, and then we found the Irish pub, the Blarney Stone.
Or the Blarney Stone.
Blarney Stone, we had lunch there. So we usually try to find an Irish pub in most places we visit.
Yes.
And give them a bit of a rating.
Yes, Google helps us with that.
So we found the Blarney Stone, and at the bar there, look, they had this one, the Keith's beer, which they were actually out of, so I couldn't have my namesake beer. But I did have a Guinness, and Joe had a beer, and then we had bangers mash, and watched baseball on TV.
Yes. Well, you'd normally have a Guinness in an Irish pub.
Yeah, you got to rate the Guinness, compare them to how they pour it, and the whole Guinness experience at the Irish pub.
They did a good job.
Yeah. And the bangers and mash was all right too. Went for a bit more of a walk around after lunch. Checked out Vancouver. There's a tower there. Actually, that's a clock in Gastown. Walked past Gastown again, and then we ended up back at the Steamworks Brewery.
And this was hilarious because I'd never experienced this before. When I ordered a wine, they actually brought my red wine out in a little mini carafe, or carafe, however you want to pronounce that. But so I had a glass of wine, but they actually brought out extra wine in a little mini carafe to pour into my glass, to top my glass up. And I figured out after our trip that was normal. It happened regularly in Canada.
There were a few places where you got that. We got chatting with a bloke at the bar who we actually met at the bar the day before, and he was there again. And he worked over in North Vancouver and recommended a couple of places in North Vancouver that we go and visit. But we probably spent a couple of hours there chatting and talking to some of the locals. Then we got a tasting paddle of a few different beers.
Like 10.
Big long tasting paddle here.
The biggest tasting paddle we've ever seen.
And then, we made our way back to the hotel and watched some Canadian TV.
Canadian ads were funny.
So I went out for a bit of a walk that evening. I'm not sure what time it was because the sun was still up, so it could have been like 8 o'clock at night, who knows. But I found these geese, and they're kind of like, I guess they're the Canadian version of a bin chicken. They're like following people around and getting into the bins and everything.
A lot better looking than Australian bin chickens.
And then, we went to bed, got up the next morning, and we kind of planned to go to North Vancouver the next day. So on the recommendation of the bloke at the bar at the brewery, we caught a bus. I caught a SeaBus, a ferry. We got a ticket, a day ticket, which kind of gives you like a day's pass to use all the public transport. So we caught the SeaBus from the Canada Place, and we went over to North Vancouver. And
the locals were really gracious, weren't they, in terms of telling us how to get places, like in terms of what bus number to catch and how to actually travel somewhere.
Yeah, we did meet some good people there. Actually, when we were at that brewery, another bloke we were talking to was from Calgary, which was interesting because we were going to Calgary in about a week after we did our Alaska cruise and came back to Vancouver. We were actually flying to Calgary and staying a few days there, so it was good to meet someone from there and have a chat.
And he was recommending places to go.
Yeah. So at the SeaBus port, which is right on Canada Places, there were a couple other cruise ships. There's a Princess Cruise there. There was a Holland America one there. So a big cruise season at the time, being June, end of May, start of June, start of all those Alaskan cruises. So there were always plenty of ships, 2 or 3 ships in town at least.
So many people. It was busy.
Yep. So we hopped off in North Vancouver. I went on my search for a good coffee. I think this one was, from memory, it was kind of okay. Not the best coffee ever, but it was not the worst coffee ever either. It was kind of okay.
But you had latte art. That's a thing. Latte art's not like a thing that you see very regularly in America and Canada.
So we also visited a museum in North Vancouver, which kind of showed some of the history of the place. And they had this tram, which is
what do they call
old
it?
tram. Very old
I'm just
tram.
trying to think what the tram was called.
153, tram 153.
Yes. So we tried to get some photos inside that tram, but because of the lighting, it was a little bit tricky to get photos. But it's an interesting story because that tram had actually been located on a property and had been used as a chicken coop for many years. So when it was recovered, it had an extensive restoration process to clean it out and restore it back to original condition. And look, it was a lovely vehicle.
Yeah.
And it's a showpiece of that museum.
Yeah, very good museum. Go and check it out if you're in North Vancouver. Well, it would have been good to spend a couple more days around there exploring North Vancouver. We only had 2.5 days all up in Vancouver, so.
Yep.
But in hindsight, looking at North Vancouver, it probably would have been a nice place to stay. It was a lot hillier though than normal Vancouver. Or what do they call the non-North Vancouver?
Non-North Vancouver, just Vancouver.
It was a lot hillier, but yeah, it looked like an interesting place to stay and explore.
North Vancouver was interesting because it's kind of hard to describe, but there were a lot of automotive places. So service places for your vehicles, tyre places, auto mechanics, but they were all interspersed with breweries and restaurants. So it was kind of like you'd have a tyre place and then
right down that main stretch along the waterfront. So there's a road that goes along the waterfront.
Yes.
And there's all the wharfs and everything, and then tyre places, mechanics, breweries, another tyre place, another brewery.
Yes, so when you're walking into the breweries, you can actually smell the hot rubber smell because of the tyres being kept outside the tyre places, like the tyre shops and everything. So I distinctly remember just the smell of the hot rubber from the tyres. That's one of the memories I took away.
So we checked out this place. This was recommended to us by one of the guys that we met at Steamworks.
Yes.
It's a little Mexican restaurant on North Vancouver, but a brewery as well. So had a beer there, had a couple of tacos there. And yeah, it was very, if you wouldn't know it was there, it was good that someone recommended it to us, but obviously quite popular.
Do you know how I reckon, like I saw that place, was because the guy in the pub, Steamworks, actually said, look for the blue and white tiles out the front. And I went, okay, I'm going to look for the blue and white tiles. And that's how I saw that Mexican restaurant.
They had a very interestingly decorated toilet too. Had to get a picture of that one.
They had a lot of blue and white things actually in that venue.
The toilets in Canada are very interesting as well. They're shaped like gravy boats, but they seem to. So in Australia we have dual flush toilets. You have a half flush or full flush, and water is a big issue in Australia. So we don't like to waste water. But obviously, it was explained to us that there's no real
issues with water,
droughts or water issues in Canada.
So many lakes.
It's kind of like something I never really have to worry about, dual flush toilets.
But this was a real throne. They say a throne as a slang term for a toilet, but this was a real throne. It looked like a Royal Dalton toilet.
Very flash, very fancy.
It was.
So we hopped back on the SeaBus, headed back to Vancouver Vancouver, what?
Just Vancouver.
Just Vancouver. There's a few cargo ships on the harbour, another cruise ship.
Very busy harbour.
Is that a Holland America one?
Yes.
I think that's the one we were thinking of booking before we booked our Celebrity one.
We were looking at Holland America.
So I think that one actually left from Seattle and was visiting
it went
Vancouver.
Yes.
Stopped in Vancouver.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure it also visited a different port that we didn't go to.
Maybe, yeah. I lose track of all the itineraries, but I think it had a slightly different itinerary. So we hopped off the SeaBus back at Canada Place and hopped on a normal bus, a non-sea bus.
A normal bus.
A land bus, and went to Granville Island. So Granville Island, it's also one of the places that when you look up places to visit in Vancouver, they say Granville Island. It was very busy. Like you can see all the cars coming out of there, not just tourists but locals as well. I think there's like a huge big markets in there. We can barely fit in there. There were so many people.
It was very, very busy.
But there was a lot of different kind of shops as well. So if you're looking for a different kind of souvenir, it's not your run of the mill just souvenir that you can get everywhere. There
was a lot of local handmade items from these particular shops, some of which were quite unique, including handmade woolen items, for example. There were a lot of cardigans and jackets that I would have loved to have bought, but there was no way I was getting them in my suitcase to bring them back home, so they didn't come back home with me.
We found another brewery, Granville Island Brewery, had a beer there, and they had poutine on the menu.
They had poutine on the menu as well, yes.
Yep.
It was different to our first poutine.
Different, yep. Gravy wasn't as rich, had all the onions on top.
Spring onions we call them here. Over in Canada they call them green onions.
It was okay, but I think the OG poutine, the first one we had, was better.
I think the first poutine we ever experienced will stay up the top of our list as being the best.
So we hopped back on the land bus, back to the hotel.
I like how you say land bus.
Joe had a nap.
I needed a nap by then.
I went for a jog down the Canada Place, took a few selfies. There's near Canada Place too. There's also a shop called the Mountie shop, and it's kind of set up. I think it's like probably run by ex-Royal Canadian Mounted Police or volunteers or people that kind of support the police, and I think it might be set up as a bit of a charity thing to raise money for like the police charities, and they had a few good souvenirs there. I got this from my mum. Here we go. Hopefully she doesn't.
Hopefully she's not watching this video because you'll see it.
Yeah, that's a surprise. So yeah, hopefully she won't see this beforehand.
I was just thinking a few people probably don't even know what Mountie means because they may not know that that's what the abbreviation for the
Royal Canadian
Mounted Police, yes.
RCMP. So they're basically the police force. They're like the federal police, and most of the police, provincial police in most of the provinces in Canada. Now, if you're Canadian and you're listening, you might want to chirp in and tell me I'm completely wrong, but I think they provide most of the police forces, with the exception of a couple of provinces that have their own police force. So they're kind of like state and federal police as well.
We won't even go into the other souvenirs we got from the Mountie shop because we got quite a few.
Yeah, we did. We needed like extra baggage for all the souvenirs that we got back.
We pretty well did. We actually bought quite a bit from the Mountie shop.
So there's a few pictures I took on the waterfront when I went for a run, went for a jog that evening. And then the next morning, I went for another walk, but I went looking for a coffee.
As he does.
And I found our ship. So there's our ship, the
Solstice.
Celebrity Solstice. Not one of the brand new fancy celebrity ships, a bit of a smaller one, an older one, but yeah,
It had just been refurbished recently though, so it pretty well looked brand new.
Yeah.
Inside. It had been in dry dock only about a month or two before we got on board.
Yeah.
And had a total refurb inside.
So we'll show that in another video, in another episode, which will be there.
There?
Maybe. I'll put it up there somewhere. There'll be a link to it in this, hopefully.
It was a beautiful ship.
Yeah. So I went, saw the ship, then I went looking for a coffee. I actually found a place that I thought they might actually know how to make a decent coffee. And it was pretty good.
That was your best coffee in Vancouver, wasn't it?
Best coffee in Vancouver. I wish I'd discovered this place earlier.
Do you remember what it was called? I don't remember what it was called.
No. But that's a coffee cup.
I was trying to read the name on the coffee cup, but I don't remember. But I remember you pointing that coffee place out and saying to me that you thought it'd be a really good place for a coffee, and it turned out it was a really good place.
It was good, yes. In fact, when I was walking out, I saw a lady at the front and she was looking in there. It was like she was deciding whether that was going to be a good coffee place. She was trying to figure out whether to go in there or not. And I walked out and I said, the coffee's pretty good. And then I think she recognised my accent because she realised that Australians like their
good coffee.
And they must, if I said the coffee was good, I must know what I'm talking about.
Pretty well. And yeah, look, that was always the thing on the trip, was finding a place that sold good coffee, because coffee in Northern America is very different to what we experience in Australia.
Yeah. So I headed back to the hotel and we packed all our gear and checked out of the hotel. Took all our bags back down to the waterfront, to Canada Place, where our ship was. We did a whole security customs thing and everything, because they had like the US security there, because the ship was going to Alaska, which is America, so they had the US border security there before we got on the ship.
Yep.
So I guess, that saves us having to go through security at every port that we go to if they check us before we even get on the ship.
Yes, and there was no problem with that at all. It was very streamlined and easy.
So we went and checked out. We hopped on. That process took about an hour maybe.
There was a bit of a queue. That the whole point was there was a little bit of a queue, but that's why it took a little bit longer. It wasn't horrible though. We've experienced longer queues.
Yep.
When we've travelled, so
we hopped on the ship. It's always great, like once you get through all those checks and you actually walking up that gangway.
Up the gangway, and you're like, wow, we're on holiday now.
And we found our stateroom. We had balcony stateroom, and it was actually on the side of the ship that we could look out, like at the port, and watch everyone else get on the ship.
Yes, so that was We wouldn't normally worry about a balcony cabin, basically on most cruises, but because it was Alaska, we thought we'd get a balcony cabin because we figured there'd be spectacular scenery to actually look at, and we're really glad we did.
Yeah, definitely worth it. But having said that, if you can't afford a balcony, or if you'd rather spend your money on something else, then that's fine. We would have still enjoyed our Alaska trip if we didn't have a balcony.
Yes, you just go up on the open decks and you can see the scenery there. But we did enjoy the balcony.
So just after lunch, the ship drove away. Is that the right terminology?
Drove. Sailed away, I guess. And I think that there were two other ships in port. We were the first of the three to sail away, and saw some seaplanes, some big cargo ships. There was a police boat that kind of like escorted us out a bit. Went under the Lions Gate Bridge, which is like the big bridge over Vancouver Harbour. Apparently built by the Guinness family. That's why they call it the Lions Gate Bridge, because the Guinness Brewery is the Lions Gate Brewery. There's big gates there at the front. And we just fit. It
looks like, I don't know, there's probably heaps of room. It just looks like you're going to crash into the bridge.
No, well, I'm sure, like all the cruise ships obviously fit under that bridge.
Yeah.
They would all have to sail under that bridge.
You've got to get in first. So.
Yes. But it did look, we were looking up kind of thinking, wow, geez, that's close, but it probably really wasn't.
And then we kind of kept sailing away between, British Columbia, Vancouver's on the west coast, but British Columbia, which is like the westernmost province. I keep going to say state, but it's a province of Canada. But off the coast is a big island called Vancouver Island, and the capital of BC is Victoria, which is on Vancouver Island. And if we'd had more time, we would have gone over and seen Victoria. Well,
we were toying with the idea of whether to go to Victoria or North Vancouver, because we only had that one day to really explore, and it was like a toss-up whether to go to Victoria or to North Vancouver. And I guess we listened to the chap we met in the brewery who said, no, go to North Vancouver. He works there, he lives in the area, he thought there was probably more that we'd enjoy.
Well, I guess time as well. Like if we got over to Victoria, it's another huge city to go and visit with limited time. But yeah, limited time. There was a lot we could have seen if we had a few days.
Yes.
If we had a few more days, we could have hired a car and driven up around somewhere, different.
Yeah.
But we only had a couple of days there, so we enjoyed our time in Vancouver. It was really interesting sailing up between the BC mainland and Vancouver Island. I didn't realise that island was so huge. It just seemed to go forever.
It did. It was massive. A very, very big island.
And that was kind of the end of our Vancouver stay. So we're into the next chapter now, that on the cruise, on our Alaskan adventure, on our Alaskan cruise. So you'll have to check out the next episode now, which will be there. Or maybe there, or there. Wherever I decide to put it on the screen. Check it out.
All right.
Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, put a comment on there.
And see you in the
all
next
that
one.
stuff.
See you in the next one.
Cool. See you later.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. I was about to press stop, and Joe reminded me I didn't talk about her jumper.
Okay. I'm very proud of this jumper. It's a moose, and it has, well, it's in reverse here, I guess, because camera, but it says Canada down the sleeve. And I bought this jumper in Vancouver, and I bought it because I loved it. I just thought it was really cool. Even the hood, I'm pretty sure the hood, yes, look.
It's got a Canadian
It's got a Canadian flag as a zipper, but it's also got the
You've only got 15 seconds
fleecy
to
hood.
give it a plug.
Yes.
I only got 15 seconds to talk about it. All right,
okay.
This is Joe's jumper. Does it have anything on the back?
No.
That's Joe's jumper. All right.